Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have an incredible live stream today, and it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. It's really helpful that we can share the screen and show you some good examples of this, how to reprogram your mind. Okay, so this is actually possible. It's probably one of the more important, useful videos that I'm going to make. I'll be talking about this a little bit more. I've had clients in breakups before say, can you just give me amnesia? I remember thinking that from a bad breakup a long time ago. Even if that was possible, it wouldn't be a very good thing to do. Your experiences shape who you are. They're there for a reason. But can you reframe? G Money, perfect person to be on this one, bro. All right, way to start. I haven't seen you for a while. I've been looking for you in the daylight with a flashlight. So yeah, how to reprogram your brain, your mind. Are they the same thing? We won't get into that. That's too scientific for me. But reprogramming your mind is possible, but first you have to realize that you're already programmed. The computer was based on the human mind. Okay? The computer was based on the human mind. So if you think about that, we program, we delete things, we put programs on the computer. This is really one of those things that, this is what gets me, right? So self-improvement, which I've read a lot of those books, I'm kind of over it now because you go through a self-improvement rabbit hole and then it gets repetitive. And sometimes that's how it's getting with breakup advice. Recently, I've done a lot of research, if you will, to do reaction videos on other channels, and it's just absolutely amazing how many videos say the same thing with a different packaging, a different voice for no contact or one of these things. And it just makes me think people are paralyzed with this paradox of choice, and they just keep watching more videos but not really taking the action because they think it's somehow useful or helpful. It depends on the person. So here's what's really interesting. Someone can give you a model to do something. One that's really popular out there is Letting Go with David Hawkins, where they show, I just saw Clark Kegel. I should show that video today, actually. But it's a very simple process about letting go, about being on these different levels. And it's one of those things, if you're programmed to not believe in something spiritual or to believe that things aren't easy to do, there's all kinds of programs that you're running as an individual that will impede you from self-improvement, from letting something go, that even if you are given the tool to do it, it doesn't work for everyone. So for example, I was talking about Jocko Willink before, the Navy SEAL, right? And he gives the advice, just let it go, move on, move forward. That person's not good for you, etc. It's good advice. Now, is everyone going to be able to be influenced by his advice or his approach? No, but probably one of the biggest things is the fact that someone else that's a Navy SEAL that just respects the hell out of Jocko Willink because he's also a Navy SEAL and also takes orders well, will take Jocko Willnick's advice to the fullest possibly. Whereas if someone's on the other side of the spectrum, maybe they don't relate to him as much. They want to research things more than rather just take sound, concise advice. That won't work for them. And so someone's like, well, this is good advice. It's the packaging, but also you as an individual, since you were born, have been programmed. You've been programmed. You don't even know it. I've been programmed. And it's enlightening when you start to realize all these gatekeepers you have on your beliefs. So someone says, hey man, just go on a diet. For me, never had a problem with weight. I think I've been slightly, when I say that, I won't even say slightly overweight maybe once in my life at 41 years old. Okay. Good metabolism? Possibly. Am I active? Yes. Do I eat fast food? No. All right. But I've never had a problem. I don't have a lot of like built-in compassion because I haven't dealt with that problem before. Right. Now, I've had clients come to me and they're like, their problem with, eating bad foods, different things like that. Now, it doesn't mean I'm a discompassionate person. It's just I don't know what it's like to be in that situation. So I'm less likely to be like, oh, we'll just do this, do that, because it just comes natural to me. Now, when someone's going down the rabbit hole of just like, let me do a diet, oh, I can't stick to my diet, oh, I can't stop eating soda, drinking soda, all these things. There's a program there. So let's say someone drinks Coca-Cola too often, right? And someone like myself, I haven't drank Coke since I was 20. And here's a really interesting story. When I was about 19, 20, I got acne late. So a lot of people, when they get pimples or acne, they get it like 13, 14. I got it like 19, 20. And it was a bad case of, acne. So bad, my mother was even like, oh my God, honey, like you look horrible. Thanks, Mom. So, the doctor went to a dermatologist, of course. He's like, oh, we got these options, or you can do this pill that you take for, I don't know, a year. But he goes, I don't think you need that, this and that. He goes, what do you eat and what do you drink? And I was like, well, before work, I always have a Coca-Cola. And this and that. He goes, well, soda is one of the worst. It's full of sugar. It can definitely be causing acne. And just that consequence of having, if you told me like, hey, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't drink this, and you won't get pimples, I was on board. So that moment I quit drinking Coke, and I've had a few Cokes over the years, but that just switched it for me. Now, programs can be, the thing about a program is like, why is someone doing that? There's a secondary gain, or they're relating it to something in their life. So if you were a little kid and you were like, Coke was a comfort thing, and you related it to watching a ball game or playing video games, it's one of those things that comforts you, then it's going to be harder for you to let go of that. And you don't see that there's any problem with it. All right, now that we got a few on deck, I'm gonna play the video with Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you've never heard of Dr. Bruce Lipton or Dr. Joe Dispenza, they've been around. There's a ton of videos on them. Joe Dispenza's gotten the thing that's really interesting about this is there's all these people out there that are using a different way to shape. And this is how you really reprogram your mind, is through meditation or hypnosis, okay? Or a form of hypnosis. I've been clinically certified just this month. Did about 400 hours in this course. I'm saying that's the minimum that was due. I probably have about 600 hours through the course, and I don't know how many more hours with clients. But hypnosis is one of the ways to reprogram your mind. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza does this thing where it's guided meditation. Guided meditation is a form of hypnosis. Okay, so the reason why a lot of people don't use the term hypnosis is hypnosis has this stigma. And it's kind of funny because people will be interested in it, like Andrew Huberman. He'll talk about it, but like Joe Dispenza never says hypnosis. It's always guided meditation. He dances around that because it's not a popular term. I just heard Tim Ferriss recently talking to Andrew Huberman. I keep getting tongue-tied on that, about it, and then he makes a joke at the end. Oh, I'm going to start speaking in tongues, ha, ha, ha. These kinds of jokes about that practice has put hypnosis and hypnotherapy on the sidelines for a long time, and people somehow think that this is being used for evil prospects, okay? It's not. It's a very good modality to get to the roots of your problems, okay? And it's kind of interesting. I have a yoga teacher, and he was like, oh, you're doing hypnosis and hypnotherapy. He kind of looks at me like this. And whenever someone's into yoga, they're into behaviorism, they don't realize it, but they're rigid. So you bring something new to them, they're already biased. It's like, well, I use yoga for everything, right? And he's like, yeah, hypnosis, it's for smoking, right? To quit smoking. And here's the really interesting thing, right? It's probably best and most well known for people that want to quit smoking cigarettes, right? Probably one of the worst habits you can have. Are we agreed? Even if you smoke cigarettes, most people that smoke cigarettes are like, yeah, it is a horrible habit, right? It's unhealthy. It smells bad, puts people off around you. List goes on, right? So if hypnosis is a good way to quit smoking, why wouldn't it help you with other stuff? No, what I'm saying is that not that the person was not open-minded to it, but they already had their their mind made up, oh, it's mainly used to stop smoking, right? So G-Money, good simplification. Hypnosis basically just gets your brain into a suggestive state. When your brain and body are relaxed, it opens the gates and you can accept new beliefs. That's a simplistic way to put it, yeah. And there's different ways you can use it, right? I've had a client before where I took him back to where he was 3 years old, and he was actually in the process of getting adopted, and he went back to that moment and reframed the whole thing. It was beautiful. I mean, there's so many things you can do with this. And really, it's like a lucid dream for a lot of people. It's a beautiful thing. This negative stigma that it has is crazy because you're actually in trance state all the time. When you drive a car and you don't take the turn off you usually do, or you're just in a mode where an hour goes by, some people call flow state. Flow state is a form of trance also, right? And there hasn't been more of a time in the world where you need a meditative or hypnotic state to be induced because your mind's running on so much content. It's so busy. The minute you pick up your phone and you go to Instagram, you go to YouTube, your mind's starting to go in 3 or 4 different directions. Now, what's happening now is what is this stuff? How do these people even come on? Right? So, sorry, someone just entered this live stream. So exactly my point, right? Right on cue. Someone's trying to interrupt the live stream, get attention, buy my stuff. You can't get away from it. So in my experience, when you induce someone in a hypnosis, and you basically, the way to do it is very simplistic, really. He's counting, 10, 9, 8, deeper, relax your legs, relax your arms. That's the base of it. Now, building rapport with who you're with and going further, that's the difference, right? All right, so we got 7 on deck. We got a spirited group here. I'm glad to see G-Money's back on deck. Was looking for him on a milk carton. We got Chicago's finest, the great Skinner, or brand new Skinner. Jimmy J. Hey, Coach, been years. Need to do a coaching session again with you. This time not to get an X back, but to give me some advice. Been feeling lonely for years. Absolutely. I'm actually evolving my practice. Okay, so like I said, I just been certified as a clinical hypnotherapist. Congratulations, right? And it's great because to me, it's one of the best modalities that can actually turn things around. There's all these methods. First of all, what I would say, having a good conversation with someone that cares and is empathetic and holds space for you is golden. Okay, and that's what I believe I do. But taking it a step further, advice only goes so far. If you have gatekeepers and you're programmed in a certain way to be negative or not make the right moves, okay? And so this is what helps with that. So if you have any kind of limited belief, like if you're scared of spiders, scared of the dark, hypnosis can nick that pretty good. Might have to do a few sessions. And like I said, hypnotherapy is different than stage hypnosis where I'm just doing a show. That's not what I do. One of the reasons I'm going over this, I have a new YouTube channel. My name's not directly on it. If you guys want to go check it out, it's called Clean Mind Today. Clean Mind Today, very simple. I've already got 3 guided meditations, hypnosis tracks on there with my voice. One's for sleep, one's for getting over a breakup. There'll be 3 more put on today, and one's just a 10-minute meditation that you could start your day out with. Again, guided meditations are basically a form of hypnosis, but I've gotten some good reviews so far from it. It just hit a couple days ago. Go check that out. Absolutely. All right. Maybe I'll pull it up before I end this one. So, thanks, G-Money. And I'll get back into that about the channel in a moment. But let's, like I said, we got 9 on deck. Let's check out this video really quick. And I'm really excited about doing this. StreamYard's been great. And I just want to thank Kyle at Masculine Energy for breaking that down for me, how easy StreamYard was to use. It's great to share stuff like this. This is a video I've been wanting to, when you explain, oh, Bruce Lipton said this. Yeah. It's like, all right, let me pull this up.
Of our life is coming from the programs of how 95% of our life is coming from the programs of how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and it's a fact, every human first 7 years is download a hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. You don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. And then I say, well, why is it relevant? Because this is the unfortunate fact. 95% of our life comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of their life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%. And you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. A child isn't functioning in consciousness until after 7. Before 7 is direct record. Whatever you just said, I just recorded it. So if the parent gets mad at the child, says, you don't deserve that, you don't deserve this, go. The child is not consciously understanding what you mean. Child just recorded, I do not deserve. Now, if I hear that several times, especially in an emotional situation, because that downloads it faster. Now I'm 40, 50 years old. What is my behavior 95% of the time? And the answer is, well, it comes from the program. I do not deserve. Well, that means unconsciously I will sabotage myself to make sure that the program is correct. I'm making the program true by adjusting the behavior to meet the program. Look, this is not new. I mean, there's a famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And basically said you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. Poor people have beliefs from the family. Oh, you can't make it. Life's a struggle. Things are hard. Who do you think you are? And if that's the program you get, then 95% of the day you will sabotage yourself. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because the programming. Before I put this knowledge into effect, and I use the word put into effect, why? I had the knowledge academically. It's like, oh my God, look at the research. What does it mean? I understood it from the level. And with all that knowledge, it didn't change my life. People read self-help books. I go, well, you read the book. You got a lot of knowledge. I say, is your life changed? No, but you got a lot of knowledge. And so here's the difference. The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this, and conscious mind's going to get some awareness. And I go, yeah, but subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. Subconscious mind learns in 2 fundamental ways naturally. Hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition, practice. You want to drive a car, you didn't learn how by just getting in the seat and put the key in. You had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z? Try to go to A to Z before you can complete it. And once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind, hypnosis, repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's bandied about called fake it till you make it. Meaning, if you're not a happy person, I say, you want to be a happy person? Then repeat all the time, I'm happy, I'm happy. I say, Well, you don't look happy or anything. You say, no, who am I talking to? By repetition, I'm talking to subconscious. If subconscious gets, I am happy, and 95% of your life comes from that subconscious, there will be a point once the subconscious got, I am happy, you don't have to say it again. It'll be automatic. It's repetitive. That's the secret part. Putting a sticky note on the refrigerator is more like a suggestion, but it's not a repetition. So it doesn't work very well. Repetition is a habit. It's making habit. So you got to do something religiously in the sense of repeating it to make it work. Every night when you go to bed, just when you're falling off into sleep, consciousness is disconnecting. The next period of your brain operation while your consciousness is disconnected is theta, which is the same brain function as in the first 7 years. So if you put a pair of earphones on at night with a program of what you would like to be true in your life, as soon as your conscious mind disconnects, that program is playing. It's not playing into your conscious mind. That's shut off. It's now going straight into the subconscious mind. So it's called auto-hypnosis. You don't need to go see a hypnotherapist. You just have to pick out what program would you like to have that you don't have. 95% of your life is coming from the subconscious. Your life is a printout of your subconscious behavior. Oh, so you don't have to try and think about what happened. I just say, look at your life. The things you like that come into your life come in because you have a program that supports them. But anything you struggle with, work hard at, put a lot of effort into making it happen, why you're working so hard, inevitably you have a program that doesn't support that conclusion and you're trying to override the program. So you don't need to do a lot of shrink and psychology stuff. You just look at your life and say, where am I struggling? Because wherever you're struggling, inevitably it's a program.
Another way to look at this is, where do you not struggle? This is really interesting. What do you do naturally that doesn't? So like, you might not be aware of, for example, I'm not an exercise nut or a fitness fanatic, but I exercise regularly. And I've had friends that don't exercise that are like, how do you do that? How do you go to the gym, or how do you go for a 4 or 5 mile hike in the afternoon just for, I don't get it. Like, how do you get your, the real thing, I don't really get myself up for it. I just naturally do it because to me, exercise makes me feel good. So to me, I already have it in the back of my mind. Oh, I want to feel better. Going for a hike is not going up the mountain and sweating and struggling. That's not what comes to mind. What comes to mind is the end of the hike when you feel, oh, that was great. I like to sweat. So how did that get programmed into me? I'm not sure, but if I had to guess, since I was a little kid, I was always outside. I was riding my bike places. I always played sports when I was young. And I was never by my parents like, oh, you have to get home or you have to stay in the house. I was always outside of the house. So that might be part of it. Played sports a lot when I was young. But to think about what you don't do, like how you're programmed possibly in a negative way, it usually always has roots between 0 and 7 years old. And really, what's really incredibly interesting is your brain gets programmed in those first 7 years. You're in a sponge-like theta state. And now if you find, geez, man. If you find yourself around a kid that's 0 to 7 years old, okay? And they're like this. Especially babies. Have you ever looked at how babies look at you? Oh, that's cute. They're in a theta state. They're actually sponging everything you do. Everything. And so when you think, how does this person get in this state? As an adult, you don't get there. You're conscious. You're more concentrating on things. You're not emulating everything. And so when you look back at why you are who you are, 0 to 7 set the plate. And so that's what Bruce Lipton's saying here. He's saying you've already been programmed. And if you're completely unaware of it and you're like, for example, if someone says, oh, I'm always down on my luck, you're doing something to believe that, where there's some people that believe they're lucky and are lucky. self-improvement books help some people directly. It's usually the people that have it in them to take directions quite well. There's some people that are programmed that if they read a book, they'll put it to action. There's some people that are programmed that I'll read the book and that's enough. There's some people go, oh, that's a good idea, but it'll never work for me, but I'll keep reading this because it's good. I just had a client recently tell me, hey, I just bought these 6, I got these 6 books I want to buy. What do you think? We were in a coaching session. He had a few last questions. I said, look, bud, do you really like reading? Yeah. I'm like, because number one, do you really think you're going to read all those books? Because a lot of people just get books because it sounds good. And he goes, I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to get to them. I'm like, well, just pick 1 or 2 out. Be honest with yourself instead of getting all 6. And then I said, go get the book notes on them. But if you're not putting them to action, then don't do it. All right, let's get back to this video. Sorry about these bots. I have been trying to block them, but they seem to keep getting through here. All right.
In your subconscious that does not support that destination you've been looking for. I had to deal with the issue of teaching medical students and going into the classroom. Teaching conventional curriculum is the old genes control life story. And so I go in there and teach that to medical students. But when I'd go back in my lab and look at my research on stem cells, my research revealed conclusively that the environment in which the cells live determine genetic activity. So it's complete opposite of what I was teaching in medical school. And the difference is profound. The conventional story, almost everybody's programmed with genes turn on and off, and then they control the character of your life. And if you buy that story, which I did and which I was teaching, it really means that we're victims of our heredity. We didn't pick the genes as far as we know. You don't like the traits, you can't change the genes, and the genes appear to turn on and off by themselves. All of a sudden you see your life is not under your control, it's under the control of the genes. And a lot of people feel that way looking at their family history and going, oh my goodness, I might have the genes for cancer or whatever it is. Since consciousness is involved, if once I feed you with an idea that you are susceptible to something, look, I can feed you with an idea that this pill that we just got from the pharmaceutical company, it's the greatest, best thing for your issue. And I give you this pill and you get better. And then later you find out it was a sugar pill and everybody goes, yeah, that's called the placebo effect. And I go, what does it really mean? You didn't get healed by the pill. You got healed by the belief in the pill. Well, yeah, that's what placebo is all about. And at least 1/3, minimum of 1/3 of all medical intervention is, it's a placebo effect where the healing comes from. Everybody goes, yeah, I know about the placebo. I go, yeah, but that's a result of positive thinking. What about negative thinking? And this is what we don't talk about, but the reality is it's equally powerful in regard to affecting your biology as is positive thinking, but it works in the opposite direction. A negative thought is called the nocebo effect. Can cause any disease and you can die. If you believe you're going to die, you can die from the belief. Here's a simple fact. Stress causes at least up to 90% of doctor visits. How can stress do this? And the answer is very simple. Stress causes a hormone called cortisol to be released in the body. So what does cortisol do? Number one, it causes the blood in the viscera, the guts, where maintenance of the body and healing comes from all the organs. It causes the blood vessels to shut down because it pushes the blood to the arms and legs. Why? Stress means you're ready to run, fight or flight. So you push the energy to where you need it, arms and legs. Well, where do you get it from? Well, you squeeze the blood vessels in the gut. Well, this is growth. The viscera is growth. That's what the organs are for. Arms and legs are for protection. If I'm in protection, I shut off growth. And more importantly, stress hormones shut off the immune system. The reason is just energy. The idea is if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and you have a bacterial infection, how do you want to split the energy? How much energy you want to run away and how much you want to fight the immune, with the immune system? The answer is.
All right, let me talk about this. We got 8 on deck. I appreciate you guys. Donations are welcome, or whatever we call it, the super chats. This is huge. This is one of those things that's so nice to share this with a group, whether it's 8 people, 20 people, or 2 people, because it's so enlightening, okay? And the way this is put. This guy actually, if you want to go down the Bruce Lipton rabbit hole, but this is probably one of the best short level speeches. He gives 2-3 hour dissertations on this whole thing, basically saying that scientifically he proved to himself that the environment turns on genes. Let me say that again. So if you have a gene that you think, for example, there's some people go, oh, cancer runs in my family, breast cancer. He's saying that the environment, the things and the activities that you do are susceptible to turn that gene on, but that gene isn't going to automatically turn on just because of your genetics. Think about that for a minute, folks. I talk about environments so getting back to this whole stress, 90% of your doctor visits are stress. How interesting is it now that a lot of the content that's being pushed is to trigger you? To put you in a state of worry. Right now, if you go online, almost all the videos for the economy are like, get your money out. It's extreme. It's like valuetainment, Pat Bev. I talked about this in another live stream. It's just like, I really like the guy, but I'm like, what are you doing now? You're trying to trigger people? The video's titled, "This May Trigger You." And he comes up with this whole explanation why no one should live in California, and that the tax prices, the median price being, or the price of a home being $1.7 million. He gives this extreme example, and he's trying to trigger people. It's like, why would you try to trigger people? So they'll watch the whole video? Where's the fucking morals and values in this? Do you know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing here? It's like, I started to look through a lot more videos to do reactions because I really don't comb it that much. And I just was like, where are we headed right now? This is why one of the reasons why I'm excited about doing a guided meditation channel. Like, you need to alter this, folks. It's everything that we're getting pushed on the search for YouTube is to get us emotionally charged the minute you go on there. Even if it's something positive, but you don't have it, right? Like, oh man, I got my Ferrari, I got this. What do you feel like? I don't have one of those. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I'm not successful. It's like everything's being skewed to that. There's never been more of a stressful time or things being planted in your mind. And to be honest, you are in a hypnotic state, a trance state when you're looking at Instagram or YouTube and you're extremely dialed in. You're taking in so many, and what's happening is it's contradictions. It's like you go, oh, maybe I want to get educated on the stock market and maybe invest some of my money. Then you watch 4 videos of why the stock market's bad. And then you watch, you can't really make decisions. So where I would start, guided meditations, right? That's a form of hypnosis. Start there. I have a 10-minute one right now. There's other ones out there to just clear your mind for a moment. Start there. All right, let's get back to this video. Let me know what you think in the chat about this.
The hell with the bacterium. I mean, if the tiger catches you, the bacteria is useless. It's meaningless, So when you're in stress hormones shut down the immune system to conserve energy. Does the immune system use energy? Of course. If you've ever been really sick, you never even got out of bed, you have no energy. And if you're in fight or flight mode, you need the energy to deal with the world. So stress hormones physically shut off the immune system. When you're under stress, that's when sickness starts to show up. In fact, it's so good at shutting off the immune system, doctors give patients who are going to receive a foreign organ, a graft of a kidney or a lung or whatever they're grafting, that's foreign tissue. If you put a foreign organ in your body, your immune system's job is to eliminate it. So as they're transplanting an organ, they give the patient stress hormones at the same time, because stress hormones will shut off the immune system so the organ won't be rejected right away. That's how effective it is. It's used therapeutically to shut off the immune system. Yeah, but everybody out there in this world right now, with a small exception, is under some level of stress. Every one of those people is dripping stress hormones continuously in their body, and those hormones inhibit the immune system, and the result is illness. And if you stop the growth, you say, yeah, but I'm an adult, I don't need to grow. And I say, yeah, but you have to replace hundreds of billions of cells that you lose every day. So we really have to watch out, because as psychologists will tell us, 70% or more of our thoughts are negative and redundant, replaying the same negative thoughts. I go, if thoughts had nothing to do with it, fine. But thoughts, positive or negative, shape our biology. And all of a sudden it says, well, now it's time to wake up, because our negative thinking is manifesting a negative life experience. But it's not just me saying this. It was me saying this when I first started doing this work, in 1970. And my research was repeatable every day. I could take stem cells are embryonic cells, so they have no potential until you put them in an environment. And then depending on the culture medium, by the chemistry of the culture medium, I can make the cell become a muscle cell, change the culture medium, make the same cell become a bone cell, or change it again and make the same cell become a fat cell. And genetically, the cell is the same. It was the environment that I was changing. And I started talking about that long before the new science called epigenetics had come into vogue, which was 1990. So I was like 20 years ahead. And of course, for much of that time, my colleagues looked at me like I was a crazy guy because everybody knew the conventional dogma. And I was, coming up with a whole different line of belief about it. And now it's come into mainstream. The only problem is this: when you invest so much money into a belief system, and then a belief system isn't really right, you try to hold on as long as you can, because if you spend hundreds of billions of dollars in this belief, you don't want to just go, oh, okay, we'll just change it. So it's a struggle, but the reality is coming forward and the public is just becoming aware of it. And it's a revolution, because if you believe genes control your life, you're a victim of your heredity. When I say epigenetic control, almost sounds the same, but epi means above. So when I say epigenetic control, literally it's control above the genes. And this is what we now recognize, that the environment, and very specifically our perception of the environment, changes our genetic activity. So that means, well, wait, that's not a victim, because
That's the key statement there. Our perception of the environment changes our genetic activity. So I've heard this from before, that alcoholism runs in your family. Yet you could have someone have 4 kids, their dad's a massive alcoholic, their grandpa's a massive alcoholic, and out of those 4 kids, one of them becomes a massive alcoholic, whatever that means. And 2 other kids never drink because their father was a massive alcoholic. That's called reframing it and finding meaning in the opposite direction. And one of them kind of drinks here and there. Why is that? Why is that? Why would that be? If alcoholism runs in the genes because dad has it and grandpa has it, why would that be? Think about this. Throw it in the chat for me real quick. Why would that be? And this is, I remember when I was a kid, my mom was like, oh, you got to be careful with alcohol. It runs in our family, because her father was a bad one. My dad's a bad one. And I always pushed back on that. Like you could pass that on. Well, what you're actually passing on, right? Because let's face it, there was a time in their societies, cultures, and civilizations that didn't even have alcohol. Right? So it wasn't a problem all the time. But really what you're doing is, what really gets someone to become an alcoholic? It's watching someone else do it. It's probably being in an environment that fosters that. But it's maybe you have a stressful job, and that's when you come home and you have your drink, and your everyday drink, and that's your way of letting go and releasing. Maybe you say, oh, dad was an alcoholic, so I learned it from him. Whatever your reason is, your environment's going to have an effect. But if you, let's put it this way, if you took 2 of those kids and they went to a camp every year that had, where they concentrated on horses and wildlife and nature and did hiking and different things like that and scouting trips, I don't know, right? And they were encouraged to be healthy and whatnot, they're probably going to be less likely to become alcoholics, because the environment just doesn't foster it. Now, think about it this way. Let's say you live in any inner city in America. How many liquor stores are on every corner? Certain types of music actually encourage drinking as cool. There's movies that encourage drinking as cool. Like when you watch, I always find this funny that when you watch a movie and there's businessmen having a cocktail in their office, like a lawyer, and they have a liquor cabinet and they're having a scotch in the afternoon. They're never drunk. They're never out of hand. You never get the smell of their breath, right? You never get the side effects of drinking. The movie portrays it as, these guys are fucking cool, man. This is what people do when they do business, right? You watch a movie. A lot of times, let's say it's a movie where the kids are in university and they're partying partying and they're drunk. They're all having fun. There's never someone getting in a drunk driving or someone out cold on the couch. I mean, sometimes these are in movies, but overall, that's kind of funny, right? But the reality is, the way it's being portrayed to people is pushing the behavior. So I would say environments count, but content counts also now. Because what people do when they watch content or movies, they put themselves in the content or the movies. Or a lot of times with some of the people that have big platforms, and this is what's happening. This is what's really interesting. Authority figures have a lot of power. Okay? So what do I mean by that? If a doctor tells you take this pill for this sickness, you're like, this is a doctor. You don't even look at their grades in school. You don't even know their stats of rehabilitating people. You just go, they're a doctor, so they must know better. Right? So you go, oh, I'll take this pill, doc. Right? Now there's some people out there that go, I don't go to hospitals, I don't go to doctors, and they've read other material, other content. But right? But here's the thing. Now it's changed. Authority figures are people that have 1 million subscribers. How do we judge someone? I just had a client. He's been working with me for 3 or 4 months. He's like, man, I went to these other coaches on breakups. You're the best, right? You're the best I've had. I can't believe it. And you only have 8,000 subscribers. He's like, how do you do it? How do you make like I was gonna pick you before, but you have 8,000. This is how we judge people, and I get it. I mean, that's our stats online. How many other people like me? How many other people have seen me? I get it. But really think about that for a minute. What are we judging here? And really, a lot of people that are getting views and subscribers, right? There's a new female in the coaching scene. I think she's been there a year or 2 years. All of her videos, which are videos, a lot of the people doing this space, similar topics, no contact, different things. All of her videos are cut here, right? And she's always got cleavage, right? With a nice set on her. Using the assets to the fullest, I think that's great. I don't look down on it at all. I actually think, yeah, it's nice to view that and listen to your information, right? She'll get 60,000 views in a week, right? Some of the content with someone like that, it's like, oh, okay, so it goes from people are choosing that also for the look, right? But then what goes along with that when someone gets 200,000 subscribers is they're an authority figure on topics. And so what happens is when someone gives advice from that peak, people go, oh, it's got to be true. They got this many. And a lot of times, some of it's not good advice, right? You have to decide for yourself. But the other thing that's happening is people are they're never taking in any advice or any rule of thumb or any code of conduct, which is a word I like to use now, because it's constantly changing with new content. So to me, getting some kind of meditative practice with guided meditation or hypnosis is the only way to really take a break at this point. There's a bunch of guided meditation channels, and like I said, I got a new one, but there's a bunch out there. I do it myself. Me personally, I had trouble originally like sitting Indian style and, going like this and just trying to breathe and block things out and just let it go. I do better with a guide. Someone telling me to relax my legs, relax my arms with music and stuff. But this is one of the ways that you're going to counter all this stuff and clear your mind, clean your mind a little bit. Because at the end of the day, how many thoughts are going through your mind that are just from flashing content? And you might not even click on some of the bad stuff. It still affects you, right? And now what's really getting pushed our way is anything audacious, shocking, or surprising, myself included. I'll get on there. I was like, what is this? Right? But it grabs my attention. It changes my environment. So environments were even more important before when it was more, but what you're doing now with content, think about this for a minute. What you're doing with content now is you're putting yourself in environments. Like I just saw this really cool new channel. I never knew that. And it's all in Jamaica. I love Jamaican accent. Hey, man, right? And they're spiritual and all this stuff. And you feel like you're going into that environment in the jungle in Jamaica, and the dude's smoking a nice joint, he's chilling, he's giving it spiritual advice. Really what I'm doing is I'm putting myself in that place like, oh, this is cool, man. But then there's other environments that people put themselves into via content that isn't good. But really, you could put yourself in 7, 10 different places. And then someone goes to me, just had a client recently hit me up on Instagram. He's like, man, I'm making so much money right now, bro. I'm doing excellent. I'm crushing it. I can't find my purpose. I'm hooking up with a bunch of chicks. I'm traveling the world. Life's never been better financially, successfully, but something's not right. Why is that? Why is that? Because it's not congruent. On the one hand, you're saying, I want to live this rich lifestyle, hook up with a lot of women, travel the world. Sounds good to me. But on the flip side, you're also saying, like, why can't I find my purpose? Well, I mean, what's going to be your purpose if you've already hit the mountaintop? But also, really, a lot of the original purpose of human beings was to have a family and have kids, probably, right? So if you don't do that, sometimes your purpose is probably going to change, every 2 to 3 years with something new, right? All right, I got to go pretty soon, so I'm going to get into the chat real quick. Brand new Skinner, if you're still on deck, let me know. Jimmy J, I would love to do a coaching and catch up. Roller Girl, always a pleasure. Rye Flint, it's been a regular recently. It's good to hear from you. I would expect people in yoga to be open-minded. Well, you'd expect a lot of things, right? Anytime this is another thing about people's personal beliefs. Some people are so dug in. I remember I said something about cancer and belief, and this guy that was in the live stream, this was years back, and he had been in the live stream regularly, was like, that's absolutely not true. My father had cancer, and having a belief system and having this would not work. And he like aborted the live stream and made this big deal because one doctor told him one thing, and what I had said countered that, which I wasn't saying was factual, it's just my opinion. And it totally was like, no, you're wrong. Here's what it comes down to, folks. Everything's an opinion except simple math. So choose your opinions wisely. And when someone comes up with an opinion that you don't like, ask yourself for a minute, take a step back. Don't be impulsively answering and go, why does this bother me so much? Does this person have a point? The internet is gross. Congratulations, Mac. Thank you very much. Yep, Clean Mind Today. Check it out on YouTube. Yep, the reviews on the meditations that I've made so far, that it's worked very well to go to sleep. Iceberg Theory, 95% of the mind is unconscious. Self-sabotage, such a great video. Thank you. I wrote, self-improvement doesn't overcome your programming. This is big, man. This is really big. Like, you can read a lot of books and a lot of material and then repetition. This comes into, Corey Wayne saying, read my book 10 to 15 times. It does make a difference when you read something multiple times to let it instill inside you. Environment determines outcome, not genes by themselves. Big concept to wrap your mind around. I used to be at the doctor's all the time when working in a stressful job and always was unwell. It's good that you realize that was part of the problem. Some people can completely overlook that. There was a guy that was I just saw a video a couple days ago, and he was plugging financial freedom versus being wildly rich. And he was saying that he had clients in the past that were wildly rich, extremely rich, that had bags under their eyes, or were stressed out. And I definitely can relate to that. I've met people in my life. When I was in the real estate industry, there's these people that did really well, but they could never turn off their business or real estate mind. And sometimes it would be like, I don't want to be like this person. Or there's other people in the game that were calm, stoic, relaxed, and did just as well. Epigenetics is a crazy concept. Your very genetic code is altered by your environment. It's absolutely true. All right, folks, I will be back on deck tomorrow, similar time. I got to go somewhere. I got a live coaching later on today, but I've been back on deck with the live streams quite regularly. Let me know if there's a topic, put it in the comments below that you want me to touch on. Let me know what you thought about this one, and go check out my new channel, Clean Mind Today, on YouTube. Thank you.